What's going on, everyone? Let's talk about the craziness going on with Rachel Nichols. Now, for those that don't know, about a year or so ago, she was in the bubble and she had a phone conversation that was recorded and leaked. Now, it seems to be to no one's fault. It was just, the all of the equipment around in the area picked it up and then it got exposed. She got some backlash for it. She basically said that, she's happy for Maria Taylor, but that she doesn't want it to be on her back, basically. That they were replacing her for the NBA coverage, and she was not too happy about that. And now she is being, a year later, being let go from ESPN, and they are removing the show The Jump, which she helped start, helped build, and was the sort of face of. Now, she is the face of the NBA for ESPN for a long time now. And the thing is that when it comes to Maria Taylor, the thing that people were upset about was that she was qualified, and they felt that her remarks, being Rachel, were just unnecessary. That she basically was implying that you're not going to take my job because of affirmative action, though Maria was being well qualified. Now, when I first heard those remarks, I I didn't personally look at it as like such a huge negative. I looked at it as like, how would you feel if you went to the bubble, you did all these things, you worked years. I mean, she's made it publicly known that for years she had grind and took shit basically to get to the position that she is in to be able to cover the NBA. And just think of up until recently, all of the women that have attempted to do this thing, all of the harassment, all of the craziness that she had to navigate through to get to the point that she was at, and to just be taken away, which she said, which we don't know for certain, that the reason was because ESPN was feeling pressured to have, somebody of color represent the NBA rather than Rachel being a white woman. Now, again, we don't know if that's really the case. That's just what she said in a conversation, and people were upset about it. And she even said in her recorded conversation that, she thinks that Maria is great, that she thinks she does a great job, and that she hopes she has success, just not on my back, basically. Saying that, like, she's not going to take my spot because, it's a dog-eat-dog world, especially in sports, especially in commentating. The way that they change shows and add new shows and remove stuff. I understand Rachel's sort of being upset about the situation. She should have, maybe handled it better. Though the conversation, which I don't remember who, one of the sports one of the sports shows was covering it on Fox, one of the Fox sports shows, and they made a very good point. They said that like what she said wasn't really that bad, and if you were to record everybody in that bubble, you probably would have heard all kinds of stuff that would have gotten a lot of people canceled and a lot of people upset because it was just a weird situation. And you had all this equipment around all the time. And I'm not saying that what she said was right. I'm not saying that, she is right in this situation. What I'm saying is that it is a weird situation that I don't feel a lot of people put themselves into before they just jump to the conclusion of like what it was. And because we don't know, she probably knows more about the situation than we do. And so, not saying that it was affirmative action, but ESPN has gotten in trouble in the past for not being, culturally appropriate, and they felt a lot of pressure. I mean, they've done things to sort of prove that over the years, and there's like this huge wave, and nobody ended up winning in this. I mean, even Maria stepped down because of all of the craziness that was going on. And now Rachel is completely gone. People were upset that she wasn't punished really, that nothing really happened other than, a slap on the wrist, and they allowed her to continue because she was ESPN's sort of golden girl for a long time, and they moved to this other direction, and she felt nobody said anything to me. There was no conversation. There was no, I went to the bubble assuming that I was going to take up my usual position, and then they flipped it on me. Which, again, I understand. I see the point. Like, remove all of the racism, remove affirmative action, whatever the case may be. Whatever the decision was as to why all of this boiled down, anybody would be upset if somebody else was just thrown into your spot that you worked your entire life to get to. You finally achieve that sort of, plateau of your career, and then somebody comes in and just takes it. It doesn't matter that it was Maria. It could have been anybody. if a man, if a woman, if an alien came and took her spot, it would be understandable that she would be upset. Everybody would. I would be upset. You would be upset. If somebody came to your job right now and you're in a position of whatever, you worked your way up to get to that point. It wasn't just handed to you. It wasn't just, it took you years, your entire life of just total dog doo-doo to get to the point that she got to, and now boom, the rug's being pulled from underneath you. Again, her comments weren't right. She shouldn't have said what she said, but it was a private phone conversation that wasn't bad. She didn't say any racial slurs. She didn't attack Maria. She basically said, and you can look it up, that I think she is great. I think that she deserves the credit and the recognition, but I don't want her taking my spot. I don't see anything that wrong with it, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. But as always, this is a discussion, and I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. How do you feel about this whole situation? Do you think Rachel was kind of done wrong? Do you think Maria Taylor was kind of done wrong? Do you think it was just a sort of terrible situation altogether, which is kind of how I think. I don't think anyone was necessarily right or wrong here. I think it was just a lose-lose for everybody, because Rachel lost her ESPN gig, which she will get more gigs. Maria had to step down, so she lost that gig too. But she has done NFL coverage, all kinds of coverage. She's doing great too. She's killing it, and she deserves it. She is doing a phenomenal job, and she deserved the position that Rachel was in. She deserved that opportunity. Absolutely. It wasn't like they just gave it to some scrub off the street. No, she grinded too. She got the position that she was in as well. But you are casting somebody to the side that earned it as well. So it's kind of like a weird situation, because it's not just like, there was somebody that stepped down and boom, you put Maria in the position. Or, there's somebody that you're unsatisfied with, that you're unhappy with, boom, you put her in the situation. ESPN at that point had no issues with Rachel Nichols. There were some rumors with players, and then you had the Jimmy Butler thing and stuff like that. But for the most part, there was no public statement from ESPN. So I think if anyone is at fault, it is ESPN, because they just botched this whole thing. And now you ended up losing two people that were extremely qualified, that worked so hard to get to that point. And, and at the same breath, it is worth noting that a big issue that this caused, basically, was that the opportunity for people like Maria was never there before. And now you have this thing where you have, the common broadcasters, the white people, let's just say it. So you have the white people that worked their careers, that got to the point that they got to. And now you have these, minorities that worked their tail off to get to this point. And for a long time, that was it. Nope, that's for the white folk in a lot of ways. And now you have all of these acceptances, and people want to, be inclusive again, which I think a lot of it is just to save face. I don't think it's because they feel this person's qualified, we should put them in. I think a lot of it has to do with the pressure that they feel, because that's what Rachel said. I mean, and it makes sense that, there's this movement of it needs to be equal, which it should have always been. It should have always been equal. There should have never been this issue. And then if that was the case, if everyone was equal, you would have avoided situations like this. And I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again even after this. Because again, you have these people that have worked their tails off, that have reached positions that now are sort of being looked at as hey, you have to step down because of this person. It's a weird situation that I just feel nobody wins. And these companies like ESPN and everything else, they're the only ones that really win, because whatever show they do next is going to be successful. They're going to make their money. They're going to have their faces on the thing. And now Maria and Rachel are, up shit's creek, and there's nothing that they can really do about it. It's just it's a lose-lose for both of them. And yes, they're both great. They'll both continue to do wonderful things and broadcast all kinds of different sports, and I'm looking forward to seeing them both. But it's just a terrible situation. But anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you haven't liked this video, give this video a like. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, follow by the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.